The bell rang, echoing down the bright, sunlit hallways of Maplewood Elementary. Kids poured out of classrooms like water bursting through a dam, their laughter and chatter filling the air with a cheerful noise. Among them were Mia and Jake, two best friends who walked home together every day. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Today felt different, though. As they pushed through the doors, they noticed something unusual. A scruffy, stray dog was sitting at the edge of the playground, its tail wagging slowly as it watched the children with bright, curious eyes. Mia stopped in her tracks, pointing excitedly. "Look at that dog, Jake. He's been here every day this week. I wonder if he's lost or just looking for friends." Jake tilted his head, observing the dog. "He looks friendly. Maybe we should go say hi," he suggested. The dog's fur was a mix of browns and whites, matted in places, but its eyes sparkled with warmth and curiosity. Mia felt a tug of sympathy for the animal. She knew what it felt like to be alone. Sometimes, it seemed like the world didn't notice you, just like this dog. As they approached, the dog stood up and trotted over to them, tail wagging faster. "Hey there, buddy," Jake exclaimed, bending down to pet him. The dog leaned into Jake's hand, enjoying the attention. It was as if the stray had chosen them as its new friends, and Mia felt a flutter of excitement in her chest. "Can we take him home?" she asked, looking at Jake with pleading eyes. Jake shrugged. "I don't know if we're allowed to keep a stray dog. What if he belongs to someone?" Mia nodded, considering this. They had both learned in school that stray animals often needed help, and she couldn't shake the feeling that this dog might need them. Just then, the dog barked softly, as if encouraging them to make a decision. Mia reached into her backpack and pulled out a snack, breaking off a piece of her granola bar. She held it out to the dog, who sniffed it curiously before gobbling it up eagerly. "See? He's hungry," she said, grinning at Jake. "Maybe we can just feed him for now." The dog seemed to perk up even more, his eyes shining with joy as he wagged his tail even harder. Mia and Jake spent a few moments playing with him, tossing little pieces of food and watching him chase after them. It was a delightful distraction from the stress of school and homework. They decided to name the dog Buddy, since he seemed so friendly and eager to play. But as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the playground, Mia felt a twinge of unease. What if he really is lost? "We should find out if someone is looking for him," she suggested. Jake nodded, his expression growing serious. "Yeah, maybe we could ask around the neighborhood later. But for now, let's walk home with him." As they turned to leave, Buddy suddenly jumped up and began to trot behind them, matching their pace. Mia looked back and laughed. "I guess he's coming with us." The dog seemed to have adopted them as his new companions, and a sense of joy filled the air. Little did they know that Buddy's arrival in their lives would lead to an unexpected adventure that none of them could have anticipated. Their journey home was filled with laughter and the playful antics of Buddy, who trotted happily alongside them. The streets felt warmer, brighter, and the weight of the day melted away. However, as they approached their neighborhood, Mia's excitement was tinged with a hint of worry. She glanced at Buddy, who seemed to sense her hesitation. "What if my parents don't want us to keep him?" she wondered aloud. Jake shrugged, his youthful confidence shining through. "We'll just explain how friendly he is and how he followed us home. They'll understand." The closer they got to home, the more Mia thought about how her parents might react. They loved animals, but bringing home a stray was different. It meant responsibility, and what if Buddy had a family who was looking for him? Still, as Buddy wagged his tail and playfully nudged her, she felt her heart soften. Maybe they could take care of him, just for a little while. But as they turned the corner onto their street, something felt off. Buddy's demeanor changed. He stopped suddenly, ears perked up, and he let out a low growl. Mia and Jake exchanged puzzled glances. "What's wrong, Buddy?" Jake asked, concern creeping into his voice. The dog stood firm, staring down the street, and Mia followed his gaze, spotting a figure in the distance. A man was walking toward them, his gait unsteady and his eyes darting around suspiciously. He wore a dark hoodie pulled low over his face, casting shadows that made him look menacing. The feeling of unease returned, stronger this time. "I don't like this," Mia whispered. "Maybe we should cross the street." Jake nodded, and they quickly moved to the opposite sidewalk, keeping Buddy close. The stray dog continued to growl, his stance protective. "Good boy, Buddy," Mia said softly, trying to reassure him. They walked quickly, their hearts racing. The man noticed them and slowed down, his eyes locking onto the kids. "Hey, what are you doing over there?" he called out, his voice rough and harsh. Mia felt a chill run down her spine. They didn't answer but instead quickened their pace, hurrying toward home. Buddy barked loudly, and the man's expression shifted, a smirk appearing on his face. "What's the matter, little pup?" "Scared," he taunted, taking a step closer. Jake grabbed Mia's hand tightly. "We need to get away from him," he urged, his voice shaky. They turned onto their street, and Buddy barked even louder, standing his ground as they moved away from the man. "Come on, Buddy. Let's go," Mia cried, pulling Jake toward her house. Just as they reached the front yard, they heard the man's voice behind them, mocking and low. "You think you can run away from me?" Fear surged through Mia, and she glanced back, her heart pounding. They were almost home, but the sense of danger hung heavily in the air. "Call your mom," Jake shouted, his voice filled with urgency. "She needs to know." Mia fumbled for her phone, fingers trembling as she dialed. 911, "What's your emergency?" the operator's calm voice answered. Mia quickly explained the situation, her heart racing. "There's a man following us, and we're scared. Please send help." The operator assured her that help was on the way, but Mia couldn't shake the feeling of dread. Buddy continued to bark fiercely, as if he understood the seriousness of the situation. "Stay close to your house and keep the door locked," the operator instructed. "Help will be there shortly." As they waited, Mia's eyes darted back to the street. The man had stopped at the corner, watching them with a sinister grin. The sense of danger loomed closer, and the comforting presence of Buddy felt like their only shield against the unknown. As the sirens echoed in the distance, Mia felt a mix of hope and fear. Would they be safe? Would the man leave? She held tightly to Jake's hand, and Buddy stood protectively by their side, barking fiercely at the man, who seemed to sense the arrival of the authorities. "You're in trouble now," the man muttered, before turning to disappear down a side street. "Look!" Mia shouted, pointing. The police car pulled up with flashing lights, and relief washed over her like a wave. Help had arrived, but the fear didn't fully dissipate. They had faced a scary moment together, and the truth was, they were still shaken. As the officer approached, Mia felt a swell of gratitude for Buddy, the stray dog who had not only followed them home but had also protected them when it mattered most. In that moment, they realized that sometimes, the heroes come in unexpected forms. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of their adventure with Buddy, the dog who would change their lives forever. As the days passed, Mia and Jake eagerly anticipated their walk home from school, and Buddy the stray dog became a comforting presence. Every afternoon, as the final bell rang, the two friends would rush out, and there he was, tail wagging and eyes sparkling, waiting at the playground gate. It was like a scene from a heartwarming movie, and the children couldn't help but smile every time they saw him. "Look! It's Buddy!" Jake would shout, his voice filled with excitement, and Mia would giggle, clapping her hands in delight. The dog seemed to recognize them, bounding forward with an energy that was infectious. Mia had started bringing an extra snack each day, her little way of sharing with their new furry friend. "Here you go, Buddy," she would say, tossing him bits of her apple or small pieces of her sandwich. The dog would catch the treats mid-air, his tail wagging even faster as he gobbled them up. It felt good to feed him, and it made the kids feel like they were helping him. They didn't know much about his past, but they could tell he was gentle and playful. Buddy would trot alongside them, his ears perked up and eyes bright, as if he was joining in on their daily adventures. Every day became a mini celebration, filled with laughter and joy. They would talk about their classes, share stories about their families, and dream about what they wanted to be when they grew up. Jake wanted to be a superhero, saving the day and fighting off villains, while Mia dreamed of becoming a veterinarian so she could help animals just like Buddy. "Maybe I can open my own animal clinic one day," she would say, her eyes shining with hope. "And you can be my first patient, Buddy." The dog would tilt his head, as if he understood, and then bark happily, bringing even more laughter to the pair. But it wasn't just about fun and games. They felt a sense of responsibility toward Buddy, who had become a part of their lives. One day, Jake suggested, "What if we made a poster to see if anyone is looking for him?" Mia agreed, and they spent the afternoon crafting a colorful poster that read, "Have you seen this dog? He's our Buddy." They even drew a picture of him with his floppy ears and big brown eyes. With the help of Mia's mom, they hung the posters around the neighborhood, hoping to find Buddy's owner or at least help him find a safe home. "I just want him to be happy," Mia said, her voice soft. Their bond with Buddy deepened each day. The kids began to notice little things about him, how he would chase after butterflies in the park or how he loved to play in the sprinklers during warm afternoons. He was a joyful spirit, bringing a smile to everyone who crossed his path. The children had even made a makeshift collar for him from a colorful piece of cloth, tying it around his neck so they could feel even more connected. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. "Now he really is our Buddy," Jake proclaimed, proudly patting the dog's head. They felt like they were giving him a new life, one filled with love and care. But it was clear that Buddy was not just following them for food and play. There were moments when he would suddenly stop, ears perked up, as if he sensed something they didn't. On those days, he would stand between Mia and Jake, watching intently as they walked home. The kids would giggle, thinking he was just being protective. "What a good guard dog we have." Mia would tease, but deep down, they both felt a strange sense of security whenever Buddy was near. It was as if he had taken it upon himself to look after them, a silent guardian in a world that sometimes felt unpredictable. One day, as they strolled home from school, Mia noticed Buddy's behavior had changed. He was more alert, glancing around as they walked. "What's wrong with Buddy?" she asked, a knot of worry forming in her stomach. Jake shrugged, but felt a chill of unease creeping in. "Maybe he hears something," he replied. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the pavement. The neighborhood felt quieter than usual, and Mia couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. Suddenly, Buddy stopped and began to bark loudly. The sound echoed through the street, piercing the stillness. Mia and Jake exchanged worried glances, feeling a mix of confusion and fear. "Buddy, stop," Mia urged, but the dog continued to bark, his focus fixed on a shadowy figure lurking at the end of the street. The figure looked out of place, pacing back and forth, and for the first time, Mia felt a twinge of fear. "Who is that?" she whispered to Jake, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," he replied, his eyes wide with concern. The strange man seemed to be watching them, and for a moment, time froze. The hairs on the back of Mia's neck stood up, and she instinctively took a step back. Buddy's barking grew more frantic, and he moved in front of them, as if to shield them from whatever was lurking in the shadows. "Let's go back," Jake suggested, feeling the adrenaline pumping through his veins. They turned to run, but Buddy stood firm, his eyes locked on the figure. "Come on, Buddy," Mia called, but the dog wouldn't budge. He was determined to protect his friends, barking louder than ever, and the two kids could only watch as the man began to walk towards them. Their hearts raced as they began to back away slowly, the fear settling deeper in their stomachs. "What should we do?" Mia asked, her voice shaking. Jake looked around, hoping to find help. "I think we should call someone," he said, pulling out his phone. "We need to let someone know." As they continued to retreat, Buddy remained steadfast, growling and barking. The strange man seemed unfazed, but as he got closer, the fear in Mia's heart grew heavier. They could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on them, and Mia's mind raced with thoughts of what might happen next. "We have to get away from him," she urged. Jake nodded, his fingers trembling as he pressed the call button on his phone. "Mom, you need to come get us," he said urgently as the phone rang. "There's a man following us, and we're scared." The sound of the phone ringing echoed in the silence, and Mia felt a surge of panic. Buddy's barking filled the air, a rallying cry against the unknown. They needed help, and they needed it fast. As the man continued to approach, the urgency of their situation became all too real. With the operator finally answering, Mia glanced back at Buddy, who stood his ground, a silent protector against the unknown. What would happen next? Would help arrive in time? The kids could only hope and wait. Mia and Jake were still catching their breath from the shock of the barking dog and the strange man when the reality of their situation started to sink in. The dog, whom they had affectionately named Buddy, continued to stand guard in front of them, his body tense and alert. Mia's heart raced as she fumbled for her phone, her hands shaking slightly. She couldn't shake the feeling that they needed to get help, now. "Jake, what do we do?" Mia whispered, glancing nervously at the man who was now pacing just a few steps behind them, his eyes fixed on the kids. Jake looked at her, his face pale. "We have to call someone. This isn't right." He nodded, his determination matching the urgency of the moment. Mia pressed the numbers on her phone with trembling fingers, her heart pounding in her chest. She was scared, but she knew they had to be brave. As the phone rang, she glanced at Buddy, who was still barking fiercely at the man. "Come on, pick up," she murmured under her breath, wishing the operator would answer quickly. Finally, a calm voice came through the line. 911, what's your emergency?" the operator asked. Mia felt a rush of relief wash over her, but she had to keep her focus. "There's a strange man following us, and he looks suspicious," she exclaimed, her voice quivering. "We're just kids, and there's a dog with us. He's trying to protect us." "What does the man look like?" the operator inquired, her tone steady and reassuring. Mia glanced back at the man, who had stopped moving and was now watching them intently. "He's tall, with dark hair and wearing a black jacket. He's been following us from the school," she said, her voice rising in urgency. Jake squeezed Mia's arm, his eyes wide with fear. "He's getting closer," he whispered. Mia could see the man shifting on his feet, his expression darkening. "Please hurry," she pleaded into the phone. The operator replied, "Help is on the way. Stay where you are and don't approach the man." As Mia hung up the phone, she took a deep breath. The reality of the situation was beginning to feel overwhelming. The once familiar streets now felt menacing, and she couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability that hung over them. Buddy sensed their distress and moved closer to Mia, his body forming a protective barrier between her and the man. The strange man took a step forward, a sly smile creeping across his face as if he enjoyed the power he held in this situation. "What's wrong, kids? You lost?" he asked, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Mia felt her heart race, and she instinctively took a step back, clinging to Jake's arm for support. "We're not lost. Just leave us alone." Jake shouted defiantly, trying to sound braver than he felt. The man's smile faded, and he looked even more menacing now. "You shouldn't be out here all alone," he replied, his tone shifting. "Maybe I can help you find your way." "No, we're fine." Mia shot back, her voice shaky but firm. She felt a rush of adrenaline as the dog growled softly, baring his teeth at the man. Buddy's protective instinct was kicking in, and it made Mia feel safer. "You just need to go away," she added, hoping to convey the seriousness of their situation. At that moment, Mia's phone buzzed in her pocket. She quickly pulled it out, hoping it was the police. "It's my mom," she said, answering the call, her voice trembling. "Mom, we need help. There's a man," but before she could explain, the man stepped forward again, cutting her off. "Who are you talking to?" "Maybe I should take that phone from you," he said, reaching out toward Mia. Panic surged through her, and she felt a rush of fear. "No," she cried, stepping back and holding the phone tight. The man laughed, a chilling sound that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. In that moment of chaos, Mia knew they had to act fast. She turned to Jake, her mind racing. "We have to get to the main road. The police will be there soon," she whispered urgently. Jake nodded, determination flashing in his eyes. "Let's go." Buddy barked louder, as if sensing the urgency of the situation. He lunged forward, standing his ground between the children and the man. Mia and Jake backed up a few steps, keeping the dog close as they moved toward the edge of the playground. "Come on, Buddy," Jake urged, feeling the weight of their fear pressing down on them. As they made their way, Mia could see the man's expression change. His playful demeanor shifted to something darker, more aggressive. "You kids think you can run away from me," he shouted, taking a step closer. "I just want to help. Stay back," Mia yelled, feeling a rush of courage. They had to keep moving, and they had to stay together. Just then, the distant sound of sirens filled the air, growing louder with each passing moment. Relief washed over Mia, but she knew they needed to stay safe until help arrived. "Don't stop. Just keep walking," Jake urged, his grip on Mia's arm tightening. They quickened their pace, glancing back to see the man still following them, his eyes narrowed and focused. But Buddy stood firm, barking fiercely, refusing to back down. Finally, they reached the corner of the playground, where a main road led to the school. "We're almost there. Just a little further," Mia shouted, feeling her heart pound in her chest. As they crossed the street, they spotted a group of parents chatting nearby, and Mia waved her arms frantically. "Help! Help us!" she yelled, her voice filled with desperation. The parents turned to look, confusion washing over their faces. "What's going on?" one of them asked, stepping closer. Just then, the man halted, glancing back and realizing that he was now being watched. He hesitated for a moment, clearly weighing his options. "Nothing is happening," he said dismissively, trying to regain control of the situation. "Just a misunderstanding." But the group of parents wasn't fooled. They could see the fear in Mia and Jake's eyes, and they immediately moved to protect the kids. One of the parents pulled out their phone. "I'm calling the police," they announced, their voice firm. The man's demeanor shifted once again, and Mia could see that he was losing his grip on the situation. As the sirens grew louder, the man turned and began to back away, his face contorted with frustration. "You kids will regret this," he spat, his voice low and threatening. But Mia didn't feel afraid anymore. With Buddy by her side and the parents standing guard, she felt empowered. "Just leave us alone," she shouted, her voice strong and unwavering. As the police car pulled up to the curb, flashing lights illuminating the area, the man took one last look at them before turning to flee. "Get back here," a police officer shouted, stepping out of the car. But it was too late. The man had already disappeared down the street, melting into the crowd. Mia and Jake stood there, trembling with adrenaline as the officers approached them. "Are you two all right?" one of the officers asked, kneeling down to their level. Buddy sat beside them, his tail wagging despite the chaos. "We are now," Jake replied, relief flooding his voice. "This dog saved us." Mia nodded, a smile breaking through her fear as she patted Buddy. "He wouldn't let the man get too close," she explained. The officers exchanged glances, impressed by the loyalty of the stray dog. "Well, it looks like you've got a new friend here," one officer said, giving Buddy a scratch behind the ears. "Good job, Buddy." As the tension began to fade, Mia and Jake felt the weight of the moment lift. They had faced a frightening experience, but they had also learned the importance of courage and looking out for each other. Buddy had been their protector, and together they had triumphed over fear. Mia looked at Jake, her heart swelling with gratitude. "We did it," she said softly, still in disbelief. Jake grinned, excitement bubbling within him. "Yeah, we did. And Buddy is our hero." The officers reassured them that everything would be all right and promised to keep an eye out for the man. As they left the playground, Mia couldn't help but feel grateful for the loyal dog that had followed them home every day. Little did they know, their lives would forever be intertwined in ways they never could have imagined. In the days to come, Mia and Jake would share their story with their friends and family, and Buddy would become a beloved member of their community, a reminder of bravery, friendship, and the bond that can form between humans and animals. They had faced danger together, but in the end, they had also found safety and support in each other. As they walked home, with Buddy happily trotting beside them, Mia felt a sense of calm wash over her. They were safe now, and Buddy had shown them what true loyalty looked like. Together, they would face whatever challenges came their way, knowing that they were stronger together. As Mia and Jake rounded the corner, the sound of sirens filled the air, slicing through the tension that had wrapped around them like a thick blanket. The flashing lights of the police car were a beacon of hope, making them feel a little safer despite the adrenaline still pumping through their veins. "Look, they're here!" Jake shouted, relief washing over him as he pointed toward the approaching vehicle. The police car pulled up alongside the sidewalk with a squeal of brakes, and the officer stepped out, quickly assessing the situation. He was tall and wore a navy blue uniform that looked official and reassuring. The kids had never seen a police officer up close before, and the sight of the badge gleaming in the sunlight made Mia feel a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "Stay right there," the officer commanded as he strode toward them. His voice was firm but calm, and it instantly made them feel a little more at ease. The dog, still standing protectively in front of Mia and Jake, continued to bark, as if it sensed that help had finally arrived. The officer crouched down, his gaze focused on the kids. "What happened? Can you tell me about the man following you?" Mia glanced at Jake, and they exchanged a look that said they were in this together. "We were just walking home from school," Mia started, her voice trembling slightly but growing steadier with each word. "And this dog, Buddy, he's been following us every day. But today, there was this man. He was acting really weird, pacing back and forth at the end of the street." Jake nodded, jumping in to add more detail. "Yeah. Buddy started barking at him and wouldn't let us get close. He seemed really scary." The officer nodded along, taking notes in a small notebook. "Good thing you called us," he said, his expression serious but kind. "That man has been reported for suspicious activity around here. You did the right thing by reaching out." Mia felt a wave of relief wash over her. They hadn't just overreacted, they had done something smart. Just then, as if on cue, Buddy sat down next to Mia, his head held high, looking up at the officer with big, trusting eyes. The sight of the loyal dog, who had kept them safe, made Mia smile. "We named him Buddy," she explained, patting the dog's head. "He's been our friend ever since he started following us." The officer reached down, giving Buddy a gentle scratch behind the ears. "Well, Buddy here is a good dog. He knew something was wrong and protected you. Not all heroes wear capes, some have 4 legs and a wagging tail." Mia beamed with pride, feeling grateful for the stray dog that had suddenly become so important in their lives. As they waited for backup to arrive, the officer continued to ask questions. "Can you describe the man to me? What did he look like?" Mia furrowed her brow, trying to remember. "He was tall, with a black jacket and a hat," she recalled. "He kept looking at us, and it made me feel really uncomfortable." Jake chimed in, he had scruffy hair and was acting like he didn't belong there. "He just kept pacing." The officer made notes, nodding seriously. "You did a great job by not going near him. You kept your distance, and that was smart." While they spoke, the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows on the pavement. The warmth of the day was fading, and a chill crept in. Mia felt the cold air but didn't mind. The presence of the officer and Buddy gave her a sense of safety that made the cold seem distant. Just then, a second police car arrived, and another officer got out, joining them. "What do we have here?" he asked, looking at the kids and then at the first officer. These kids called 911 about a suspicious man. They said he was following them home. The new officer's eyes widened slightly as he took in the situation. Mia felt her heart race again, remembering how scared she had felt when she first saw the man. He was following us, and Buddy wouldn't let us go near him, she repeated. The second officer smiled at Buddy, who wagged his tail happily at the attention. Well, it seems like we have a canine hero, he said. Mia felt a surge of gratitude toward Buddy. He really is our hero, she said, looking at Jake. If it weren't for him, I don't know what would have happened. Jake nodded, a serious expression on his face. Yeah, I was really scared. The first officer turned back to the kids. Why don't you sit tight right here with Buddy? We'll go check out the area and see if we can find that man. The two officers walked away, scanning the surroundings as they moved toward where the man had last been seen. Mia and Jake stayed close to Buddy, who seemed to sense their anxiety. He leaned against Mia's leg, providing comfort with his warm body. Do you think they'll find him? Jake asked, his voice a mix of hope and worry. I really hope so, Mia replied. What if he tries to follow someone else? She felt a knot tighten in her stomach at the thought of the man approaching another kid who might not have Buddy to protect them. Minutes felt like hours as they waited. Mia kept her eyes on the officers, willing them to find the man quickly. The sun continued to set, casting a golden hue over the neighborhood. The comforting presence of Buddy helped, but a sense of urgency filled the air. Finally, the officers returned, looking serious but relieved. We found the man, the first officer said. He's being questioned, but you two did the right thing by calling us. We'll make sure he doesn't come back around here. Mia and Jake exchanged glances, a wave of relief washing over them. Thank you so much, Mia exclaimed, hugging Buddy tightly. You saved us. The officer chuckled, watching the kids and their new friend. And thank you, Buddy. You did a great job. As the officers made notes and spoke to each other, Mia and Jake began to feel the tension lift. They had faced something scary, but they had also done something brave by reaching out for help. Buddy, the stray dog who had followed them home, had turned into a guardian in a moment of fear. Mia looked down at Buddy, whose tail was wagging enthusiastically now that the danger seemed to have passed. We should make him a special dinner tonight, she suggested, a smile spreading across her face. He deserves a treat for being such a good dog. Jake nodded excitedly. Yeah. Let's give him the best food we have. Their laughter broke the tension, and as they chatted about how to treat Buddy, they realized they had found a friend in the most unexpected way. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the street, Mia, Jake, and Buddy stood together, feeling stronger than ever. They had not only made it home safely, but had also learned the value of courage, friendship, and listening to their instincts. With Buddy by their side, they knew they could face anything that came their way. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of their adventures together. The bond they had formed with the stray dog would lead to more stories and experiences, creating memories that would last a lifetime. As they turned to head home, Mia felt a sense of gratitude not just for the police officers and their swift action but for the incredible stray dog who had changed their lives forever. Buddy wasn't just a dog who followed them home, he was a hero who had brought them together, reminding them of the power of loyalty and bravery in the face of uncertainty. As the sirens faded into the background, Mia and Jake stood with the officer, their hearts still racing from the adrenaline of the encounter. Buddy, the stray dog, sat patiently by their side, his brown eyes alert and watchful. The officer's presence provided a comforting aura, but the fear of what had just happened still lingered in the air. Can you describe the man for me? The officer asked, kneeling down so he was at eye level with the kids. His voice was calm, and it felt reassuring to Mia, who was still shaken up. He had dark hair and a hoodie, Mia replied, her voice quivering slightly. And he kept looking around like he was watching us. Jake nodded in agreement, recalling the man's nervous movements. Yeah, and he was just standing there at the end of the street, pacing back and forth. It was really creepy, he added, his eyes wide. The officer wrote down their descriptions, nodding thoughtfully. Good job for noticing those details. That helps a lot. He glanced over at Buddy, who was still standing strong by their side. And what about this brave fellow? He really didn't want you to go near that man, did he? Mia smiled at the dog, her heart warming at the thought of how Buddy had protected them. No, he kept barking and standing in front of us. It was like he knew we were in danger. The officer's expression softened. Animals can sense things that we sometimes miss. They can pick up on fear and tension. Buddy here definitely knew something was wrong. He was looking out for you too. Yeah, Jake exclaimed, leaning down to scratch Buddy behind the ears. He's our hero. Mia's cheeks flushed with pride as she looked at Buddy, who wagged his tail vigorously in response. Can we keep him? She blurted out, her excitement bubbling over. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. He followed us home, and he's so nice. He's like a part of our family now. The officer chuckled softly. Well, that's a conversation for your parents. But I think you've made quite the bond with him. He stood up and surveyed the area, checking for any sign of the man they had just reported. Now, let's get back to the task at hand. I need you both to stay close and keep your eyes peeled. We'll find that man. Mia and Jake nodded eagerly, feeling empowered. They were part of something important, and their fear was beginning to transform into a sense of purpose. Buddy seemed to understand the seriousness of the situation, his demeanor shifting as he prepared to take action. He stood at the ready, looking up at the officer as if awaiting further instructions. The officer motioned for them to follow him as they walked down the street. You did the right thing by calling for help. It's important to speak up when something feels off, he said, encouragingly. This is how we keep our community safe. As they walked, the officer shared stories of other times he had encountered stray dogs who had helped children. I once had a case where a dog alerted a family to a fire in their home, he recalled. Without that dog, things could have turned out much worse. Mia listened intently, realizing how brave animals could be. Buddy is just like that, she said, glancing down at the dog. He saved us from that creepy guy. Absolutely, the officer agreed. You never know how much impact a pet can have. They're always watching over us, even when we don't notice. As they continued down the street, Mia and Jake felt a swell of pride for their new furry friend. Buddy trotted confidently alongside them, as if he understood the importance of the moment. What if the man comes back? Mia asked, glancing over her shoulder nervously. The officer reassured her. Don't worry, if he does, we'll be ready for him. You're not alone. I'm right here with you. They rounded a corner, and suddenly, they spotted the man from earlier. He was leaning against the wall, his head down, trying to blend into the background. There he is. Jake shouted, pointing. The officer's expression hardened as he approached the man, gesturing for Mia and Jake to stay back. Stay close, kids, he instructed, maintaining a protective stance in front of them. Let me handle this. Mia felt a mix of fear and excitement as she watched the officer confront the man. What are you doing here? The officer demanded, his voice firm. The man looked up, startled, and glanced at the kids. I was just waiting for someone, he stammered, his body language tense. Waiting for someone? The officer questioned, crossing his arms. You were reported for suspicious activity following these children. I think you should come with me. Mia watched closely, her heart pounding. Would they really catch him? She glanced down at Buddy, who stood protectively by her side, barking at the man as if sensing the tension in the air. The man shifted uncomfortably, clearly realizing he was outmatched. I didn't mean any harm, he insisted, backing away slightly. Save it, the officer interrupted, reaching for his radio. I'm calling this in. You're not leaving until we sort this out. Mia and Jake exchanged glances, relief flooding over them. They were finally safe. Buddy barked once more, as if celebrating their victory. You did it, Buddy. Mia cheered, and the dog wagged his tail, basking in the praise. The officer maintained a strong grip on the situation, and as he waited for backup to arrive, he spoke calmly to the man. You need to understand that following children is not acceptable behavior. We take this very seriously. The man glanced nervously at the officer, realizing that he was caught. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone, he repeated, his voice trembling slightly. Your intentions don't matter at this point, the officer replied. What matters is the fear you caused these kids. Mia felt her stomach knot as she listened to their exchange. She had been scared, and now she could see that her fear was justified. Jake squeezed her hand, and she knew they would get through this together. When the police backup arrived, the officer spoke with them briefly before turning back to Mia and Jake. You both did an amazing job. We'll take it from here. Can we go home now? Jake asked, his voice small. Of course, the officer replied, smiling gently. You both should feel proud. You stood up for yourselves and did the right thing. Always remember that. Mia felt a surge of confidence as they began to walk back home, Buddy trotting happily beside them. The street was brighter now, and the sun began to set in the distance, casting a warm glow over everything. They had faced a challenge and emerged victorious. As they approached Mia's house, the door swung open, and her mom rushed out, worry etched on her face. Mia! Jake! Are you okay? She cried, rushing to embrace them. Mia nodded, tears of relief filling her eyes. We're fine, Mom. But you won't believe what happened. Jake chimed in, a stray dog followed us home, and he helped keep us safe from a strange man. Her mother's eyes widened in disbelief as she looked at Buddy, who wagged his tail, seemingly proud of his newfound status as a hero. You're all right? She asked, holding Mia close. Yeah, the police came, Mia reassured her, still feeling the adrenaline from the earlier encounter. They caught the man, and Buddy was so brave. Mia's mom looked down at Buddy, her expression softening. Well, it seems like you have quite the companion now, she said, smiling. Maybe we should consider giving him a home. Mia's heart leaped with joy. Can we, Mom? He's so special. After a moment of contemplation, her mother nodded. If he keeps you safe, then he deserves a place here. Mia and Jake cheered, the weight of the day's events lifting as they welcomed Buddy into their family. Together, they had turned a scary situation into a beautiful story of friendship and bravery. That night, as they settled in for bed, Mia glanced at Buddy sleeping on a blanket by her side. She felt grateful for the brave dog who had followed them home and protected them when they needed it the most. They had formed a bond that would last a lifetime, one built on trust and loyalty. And as the moonlight streamed through her window, illuminating the room, Mia knew that they would face whatever challenges came their way together. With Buddy by her side, she felt like they could conquer anything. As the officer handcuffed the man, Mia and Jake stood a few steps back, their hearts racing. Buddy barked excitedly, jumping up and down as if he knew he had done something heroic. The officer looked over at the kids and smiled. You both were very brave. Thanks to Buddy here, we were able to catch this man before anything bad happened. Mia felt a rush of pride swelling in her chest. She knelt down to Buddy, scratching behind his ears. You're such a good dog. I can't believe you saved us. Jake joined in, his eyes wide with admiration. We should get him a medal or something. The officer chuckled, looking at the scruffy dog with newfound respect. He definitely deserves some recognition. Dogs like Buddy are amazing companions, and they often protect us in ways we don't even realize. Mia beamed at the officer's words. She felt a strong bond with Buddy, knowing he had watched over them and kept them safe. After the man was taken away, Mia and Jake were asked to give a formal statement to the officer. They recounted the events, their voices a mixture of excitement and relief. Mia's mom arrived just in time to see the tail end of the chaos. She rushed over, her face filled with concern. Mia! Jake! Are you okay? Mia nodded vigorously, feeling reassured by her mom's presence. We're fine, Mom. Buddy saved us. She pointed to the dog, who was still wagging his tail proudly. Jake chimed in, he followed us home every day, and today he barked at the bad man. Mia's mom knelt down to Buddy, who leaned against her leg, looking up at her with bright, trusting eyes. You brave boy, she exclaimed, scratching his chin. The officer smiled and explained to Mia's mom what had happened. Thanks to your children and this incredible dog, we were able to apprehend a man who has been acting suspiciously in the area. We'll make sure to keep an eye out for any further trouble. Mia's mom sighed with relief, wrapping her arms around her children. I'm so proud of both of you for calling for help. You did the right thing. After the officer finished taking their statements, he turned to Buddy. You know, I think this dog should be honored in some way. He did a great job today. He pulled out a small badge from his pocket, one that he often gave to police dogs. How about we give Buddy this? It's not official, but it shows how much we appreciate his bravery. Mia's eyes sparkled as she watched the officer carefully pin the badge onto Buddy's collar. Look, Jake. He's a hero now. The dog stood proudly, seemingly aware of the importance of this moment. Suddenly, a group of children from the school gathered nearby, curious about what had happened. What's going on? One of them asked. Mia felt a little shy but knew she had to share their adventure. Buddy saved us from a bad man, she exclaimed, pointing to the dog, who stood tall and proud. Whoa! That's so cool, another child said, his eyes wide. Is he a superhero now? The kids began to gather around Buddy, petting him gently and asking questions. Jake grinned and said, he followed us home every day, and today he barked when he saw the man. He's a hero. The excitement in the air was contagious. The children began to cheer for Buddy, and Mia felt a wave of happiness wash over her. As the crowd of kids grew, they surrounded Buddy, showering him with affection. You're so awesome, one girl said, and another added, can we keep him? Mia laughed and replied, well, I think he's already picked us. Right, Buddy? The dog wagged his tail, enjoying all the attention, his eyes sparkling with joy. The officer watched with a smile, knowing that the story of the brave stray dog would spread through the neighborhood. This is what it's all about, he said to Mia's mom. Community coming together to protect each other, and sometimes it takes a furry friend to remind us of that. Just then, Mia's mom said, maybe we can keep Buddy? He clearly wants to be part of our family. Mia's heart raced at the thought. Can we, Mom? Please? Jake chimed in, he can be our official school mascot. We can bring him to show and tell. Mia's mom considered it for a moment, then nodded. I think that's a wonderful idea. But first, we should take him to the vet to make sure he's healthy. The crowd of kids cheered, and Mia and Jake beamed at each other, excitement bubbling over. They had just made a new friend, and this adventure had turned into something amazing. As they all began to disperse, the officer reminded them, you all did a great job today. Always remember to trust your instincts and call for help if you feel unsafe. Mia nodded, looking down at Buddy. We'll always protect each other. With the promise of a new adventure and a new companion, Mia and Jake walked home with Buddy trotting happily beside them. The sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood, and they felt a sense of security knowing they had a protector by their side. Later that evening, as they sat around the dinner table, Mia couldn't stop talking about Buddy. He's the best dog ever. I can't believe he followed us every day. Jake added, and he's a hero now. We should have a party to celebrate. Mia's mom laughed. That sounds like a great idea. We can invite your friends and make it a welcome party for Buddy. As they planned the party, Mia felt grateful for the day's events. What started as a simple walk home from school had turned into a life-changing experience. Buddy had not only protected them but had also brought joy and excitement into their lives. The next day, they took Buddy to the vet, who gave him a clean bill of health. They learned that he was a friendly dog, likely abandoned and searching for a home. He's a good boy, the vet said, smiling as Buddy wagged his tail. It looks like he's found his family." Mia and Jake exchanged glances, happiness radiating from their smiles. They couldn't wait to take Buddy home and show him his new space. That weekend, they held the welcome party, inviting all their friends from school. Decorations filled their backyard, and the kids played games while Buddy ran around, joining in on the fun. "He's a natural." Jake laughed as Buddy chased after a frisbee. Mia's mom prepared snacks, and everyone enjoyed a lovely day in the sun. The kids played games, shared stories about Buddy, and celebrated the bond they had formed. As the sun set and the stars began to twinkle, Mia looked at Buddy, who was lying happily at her feet, surrounded by laughter and joy. She felt a sense of belonging, knowing that they had not only found a dog but a true friend. In the days that followed, Buddy became a beloved member of the neighborhood. He accompanied Mia and Jake on walks to school, played with other children in the park, and even visited the local cafe where he was given treats by friendly staff. The story of how Buddy had saved Mia and Jake spread throughout the community, and everyone admired the brave dog. They often shared tales of how Buddy had changed their lives for the better, proving that even a stray can become a hero in the hearts of those he protects. Mia learned that the world could be unpredictable, but with friends like Buddy by her side, she felt safe and loved. She often thought about how something as simple as a dog following them home had turned into an incredible adventure. Now, every time they walked home from school, Buddy stayed close, his loyal spirit shining brightly. He was more than just a dog, he was a protector, a friend, and a cherished member of their family. And as they continued their daily walks, Mia felt grateful for that fateful day when Buddy chose to follow them home, reminding her that sometimes heroes come in the most unexpected forms. As the days turned into weeks, Buddy became a central part of Mia and Jake's lives. Every morning, the kids would race to get ready for school, excitement bubbling over as they prepared to see their furry friend. Buddy would wait at the door, wagging his tail, ready to escort them to school. It felt like a new adventure every day, filled with laughter and joy. One sunny morning, Mia had an idea. "What if we start a dog club at school?" she suggested at breakfast. "We could invite everyone to bring their dogs and play games in the park." Jake's eyes lit up. "That's a great idea. We can call it Buddy's Club." They both laughed, imagining all the dogs and kids having fun together. Mia's mom smiled. "That sounds wonderful. You could organize a little event this weekend. I can help you get it set up." Mia and Jake cheered, excited to plan the best day ever. They spent the whole day brainstorming games, snacks, and decorations. As they worked, Mia felt a sense of purpose. Buddy had brought them all together, and she wanted to share that joy with others. She thought about how he had saved them and changed their lives, and she wanted everyone to experience the happiness he had brought to her and Jake. The week flew by as they prepared for the big day. They made colorful posters announcing the event, inviting all their friends and their furry companions. Mia even spoke to her teacher, who helped them spread the word to the whole school. By Friday, the excitement was palpable. Everyone was buzzing about Buddy's Club. Finally, Saturday arrived. The sun was shining, and the weather was perfect. Mia and Jake woke up early, ready to set everything up. They decorated the park with balloons and streamers, creating a festive atmosphere. Tables were set up for snacks, and a large banner reading "Welcome to Buddy's Club" hung proudly. As the hour approached, Mia and Jake could hardly contain their excitement. "I hope everyone comes," Mia said, glancing at the entrance of the park. "Of course they will. Who wouldn't want to see Buddy?" Jake replied, smiling. They knew Buddy would be the star of the day. Slowly, families began to arrive, each one bringing their dogs. There were fluffy golden retrievers, tiny chihuahuas, and even a curious beagle. Mia and Jake greeted everyone, introducing them to Buddy, who welcomed the attention with tail wags and playful barks. The first game was a relay race, where kids and their dogs had to navigate through cones. Laughter erupted as dogs chased after balls and children ran, trying to keep up. Buddy was in his element, racing alongside Mia, cheering her on with his enthusiastic barks. "Go, Buddy, go," she shouted, and everyone cheered, captivated by their bond. After the races, they gathered for snacks. Mia's mom had prepared treats for both the kids and the dogs. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. As everyone sat together, sharing stories about their pets, Mia looked around at the smiling faces. She felt a warmth in her heart. This was what she had hoped for, a community coming together to celebrate friendship and love. As the day continued, they played games like musical chairs with a twist. Each chair had a dog toy, and when the music stopped, everyone had to let their dog grab a toy before they sat down. The park filled with laughter as pups dashed around, eager to claim their prizes. After the games, Jake stood up to make an announcement. "Thank you, everyone, for coming to Buddy's Club. We couldn't have done this without our amazing dog, Buddy." Cheers erupted, and Buddy barked happily, as if he understood the praise. Mia took a deep breath, feeling brave. "I just wanted to say how much Buddy means to us. He saved us when we were in trouble, and now he's our best friend. I hope he brings joy to all of you, too." Everyone clapped, and Mia felt proud. The day was drawing to a close, and the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. Mia and Jake gathered everyone for a final group photo, with Buddy sitting proudly in the front. They all squeezed together, smiling widely, capturing the happiness of the day. As the event wrapped up, families began to leave, but the excitement lingered in the air. Mia and Jake helped clean up, and they couldn't stop talking about how amazing the day had been. "We should do this every month," Jake suggested. Mia nodded enthusiastically. "Yes. We can keep making memories with Buddy and our friends." As they finished tidying up, a woman approached them. She looked familiar, and Mia recognized her as the vet from Buddy's checkup. "Hello, kids. I just wanted to say how wonderful today has been. Buddy is a real treasure," she said, kneeling down to pet him. "You've created something special here." Mia smiled. "Thank you. Buddy means so much to us. We wanted to share that joy with everyone." The vet nodded. "You're doing a fantastic job. It's heartwarming to see how much love and care you both have for him. If you ever need help with anything, feel free to reach out to the clinic." Mia and Jake exchanged excited glances, grateful for the support. They waved goodbye to the vet, who headed off, leaving them feeling accomplished and happy. As they walked home with Buddy trotting beside them, Mia couldn't help but reflect on how much their lives had changed since that day he followed them home. "I can't believe how many friends we made today," she said, glancing at Jake. "Yeah, and Buddy got to be a star," Jake replied. "I think he really liked it." When they got home, Mia's mom was waiting for them, beaming with pride. "I heard it was a huge success. I'm so proud of both of you." Mia smiled widely, her heart swelling with happiness. "It was amazing, Mom. Everyone had fun, and Buddy was the best part." As they sat down for dinner, Mia felt grateful. The day had been perfect, filled with laughter, friendship, and love. Buddy lay contentedly at their feet, enjoying the warmth of his new family. That night, as Mia lay in bed, she thought about all that had happened. Buddy had come into their lives as a stray, but now he was a beloved member of the family. He had not only protected them but had also helped them forge new friendships and create joyful memories. Mia reached down to scratch Buddy's ear. "You're not just a dog, you're our hero, Buddy. Thank you for everything." Buddy looked up at her, his eyes sparkling with affection. He seemed to understand every word. In the weeks that followed, Buddy continued to bring joy to their lives. Mia and Jake made it a tradition to walk to school together every day, Buddy trotting happily beside them. They visited the park often, meeting up with their friends and their dogs, strengthening the bonds they had created. The community embraced Buddy, and he became a familiar sight in the neighborhood. People would stop and pet him, sharing stories about their own pets and how much joy animals brought into their lives. The kids organized more events at the park, turning Buddy's Club into a monthly gathering that everyone looked forward to. One day, Mia and Jake decided to do something special. They wanted to give back to the community that had welcomed Buddy so warmly. They organized a potastic day at the local shelter, inviting everyone to bring their dogs and help raise awareness about pet adoption. On the day of the event, families came out in droves. There were games, food stalls, and even a raffle to win prizes. Mia and Jake helped set up everything, and Buddy greeted every person who arrived, wagging his tail and spreading joy. Mia stood up to speak, just like she had at Buddy's club. "Thank you all for coming. We love our dogs and want to help other pets find their forever homes. Today, let's show everyone how amazing these animals are." The crowd cheered, and the day went on filled with laughter and fun. As they wrapped up, Mia looked around at the happy faces, knowing that Buddy had sparked something beautiful in their community. He had become more than just a dog. He was a symbol of love, hope, and friendship. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of gold and purple, Mia hugged Buddy tightly. "I love you, Buddy. You've changed our lives for the better." Jake joined in, wrapping his arms around both Mia and Buddy. "We're family now, and we'll always look out for each other." In that moment, surrounded by love and warmth, Mia realized that the true magic of Buddy wasn't just in his heroics, but in the bonds he had created among friends, family, and the community. He had shown them all that kindness and bravery could come in the most unexpected forms. And as they walked home, Buddy leading the way, Mia felt a heartwarming sense of peace. They were not just a girl, a boy, and a dog. They were a family united by love, adventure, and the promise of many more memories to come. And if you like the story, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell.